Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're taking a really hard look at the actual reality of being a developer. Look, if you've ever felt completely overwhelmed, stuck, or maybe even found yourself questioning if you're actually cut out for the tech industry, you are exactly in the right place. We are breaking down a massive misconception today, one that holds back beginners and seasoned veterans alike. So get ready, because we're going to totally shift your perspective on what it actually takes to survive and thrive in this field.
So let me ask you something right off the bat. Are you currently sacrificing your sleep, your weekends, and honestly your mental well-being, all for the complete illusion of writing flawless code? You know the myth I'm talking about. There's this toxic idea out there that real developers have entire coding languages memorized, right? That they just wake up, crack their knuckles, and instantly write perfect, bug-free applications entirely from scratch. Listen, if you are constantly draining your energy trying to live up to that impossible standard, you are just setting yourself up for failure.
Here is the absolute fundamental truth we're unpacking today. To survive in tech, you absolutely do not need to know everything. What you actually need to do is protect your brain battery. Long-term success in programming isn't about having this encyclopedic knowledge or, acting like a human dictionary. It is entirely about energy management. If you don't fiercely protect your mental energy, your career is going to stall out before it even really gets started.
Okay, let's move into Section 1, the perfection and tutorial trap, and why consuming isn't the same as learning. Okay, let's dive into this. Let's look at a super common pitfall that just drains your battery right out of the gate, the paralyzing need for absolute perfection and that endless loop of tutorial preparation. In consume mode, you're probably watching coding tutorials at double speed, you're nodding along, and you're feeling incredibly productive. But I gotta tell you, it's a false sense of safety. It's literally like trying to learn how to ride a bike just by watching YouTube videos. I mean, you feel great right up until you try pedaling and immediately crash into a bush. But contrast that with create mode. Now this is the messy, frustrating reality where your hands are actually on the keyboard, you are getting stuck, and you are breaking things. That friction, that is where the actual learning happens. Bottom line, if your fingers aren't typing, your brain just isn't learning.
So how do we get out of this? To escape tutorial hell, you really need to follow a concrete framework. It's the golden ratio of learning. For every 1 hour you spend consuming a tutorial, you must spend 4 hours creating without it. You need to get stuck, you need to furiously Google things, and you need to break your code. That right there is the real course. Escaping tutorial hell means completely embracing the discomfort of building independently. And speaking of discomfort, imagine wasting 3 entire hours. Yeah, 3 hours. That is exactly how long a developer once spent just staring at a screen, completely agonizing over what to name a single variable. Like, should it be called data, info, super important thingy? 3 whole hours just drained right from the brain battery, all because of this totally paralyzing belief that the code had to be completely perfect before they could even move on.
So the crucial point is this: done is better than perfect. Ugly code that works will teach you way more than beautiful code that just sits there and never leaves your laptop. Perfection is a lie, folks. Even senior developers push code that breaks. They just know how to fix it a lot faster. If you treat coding like a delicate painting, but you never actually put your brush on the canvas because you're terrified that first stroke won't be a masterpiece, well, you're never going to finish a project. You have to stop polishing and start building. Which brings us to Section 2, problem solving over syntax. Let's talk about the actual reality of the job.
Now that we've totally shattered the perfection myth, let's pivot to what the day-to-day reality really looks like. And hey, this might hurt a little bit to hear, but you've got vanity code, that beautifully abstracted, incredibly clever code you are just so proud of, and then you have value code. Value code is simply the button that actually works for the user. Here's the harsh truth we all have to face. Nobody cares about your code. Not your boss, not your client, and definitely not the end user. They only care about what the code does. You could write the absolute cleanest code known to humankind, but if the site loads like it's on dial-up, it is totally useless.
I want you to think of your code exactly like plumbing. Look, nobody's going to come into your kitchen, open up the cabinet, and look under the sink to give you a round of applause because your PVC pipes are aligned at perfect 90-degree angles, right? No! They turn the faucet and they just want the water to run. So write code that works. Write code that solves the user's actual problem. If it happens to be clean and elegant too, fantastic. But whatever you do, do not lose sleep and do not drain your brain battery stressing over a perfect invisible solution.
When you finally realize that value beats vanity, you really start to see what the job actually entails. The real skill isn't writing syntax from memory. Come on, anyone can memorize a for loop. The real skills are being a relentless problem solver. asking the exact right questions, and breaking massive, terrifying feature requests into tiny, buildable chunks. You need to stop thinking of yourself as a human dictionary and start thinking of yourself as a detective. The coding language? That's just your notepad. The real magic is tracing the clues when absolutely nothing seems to make sense. Debugging isn't a sign of failure, guys. Debugging is the job.
All right, let's get into Section 3, the burnout warning, and the very real cost of the 24/7 grind.
This brings us to the most critical consequence of ignoring everything we've just discussed, the ultimate cost of that 24/7 grind. There is this deeply ingrained culture in tech that totally glorifies the hustle. You've probably heard the war stories, right? Developers sacrificing an entire weekend's sleep, barely eating, just staring at a screen to fix one tiny bug. And when they finally fix it, everyone celebrates it as this massive victory. But let me be perfectly clear with you. That is not a win. That is a glaring, flashing red warning sign. Productivity is absolutely not about burning yourself to the ground. Constant grinding doesn't make you a better developer. It just makes you an exhausted.
And this brilliantly illustrates the whole concept of your brain battery. This is your essential, finite mental energy. It's the premium fuel required for all that detective work and problem solving we just talked about. Think about it like this. You would never let your smartphone run on 1% battery all day, would you? No way, you'd plug it in immediately. So why on earth would you do that to your own brain? To survive in tech for the long haul, this battery must be fiercely, fiercely protected. The best developers out there, the ones who actually last in this industry without burning out, they know that resting is a required professional skill. So here is your action plan to maintain that battery. Number 1, take regular breaks. Just step away from the screen when you're stuck. Number 2, set strict boundaries. Trust me, the work will still be there tomorrow. Number 3, step outside and literally touch some grass. Just get a change of scenery. And number 4, prioritize your sleep. Your code will genuinely thank you for it, because a fully charged brain is going to solve problems 10 times faster than a drained one.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to take an honest look at your own habits. Is your brain battery currently running on 1%? Are you caught in that perfection trap, or maybe grinding yourself into burnout? It is time to abandon the toxic hustle culture and finally prioritize your mental sustainability. So I'm going to leave you with this question to think about. What boundary will you set today to protect your brain battery? Seriously, put down the keyboard, go take a walk, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.